Welcome to the Leading at the Next Level podcast with Dove Development and Consulting, the show built to provide ongoing support for your leadership journey. So if you're joining us live in the Leading at the Next Level community, specifically in the Leadership Legacy channel, you'll be able to watch this with me and Courtney Thompson as we chat through the different questions. If you're catching it on the podcast, awesome. If you're catching it inside the Leadership Legacy 2026 digital game plan, you'll have even more resources to go through. Now, I'll give a brief introduction, and I'm going to turn it over to Courtney to clean it up and really give the proper introduction. But the interaction Cindy and I've had with Courtney over the last several years has been nothing less than outstanding. We've really enjoyed the friendship, as more importantly, but the business relationship has been powerful as well. Courtney does an amazing job as the president and CEO of the Greater Augusta Regional Chamber of Commerce. But like I say, more importantly, she's become a good friend, and we just love every time we get to catch up, whether it's over lunch or just interacting in different ways and seeing how she serves the business community. So before I go into some of the questions I've got in store for you, Courtney, do you want to give some of that background and tell them who you are?
Sure. And thank you. And you were right. It's been a lot of fun getting to know you and Cindy, and enjoyed the friendship and encouragement more than anything. So it has been great. And thanks for having me today. I'm excited to be here. Yes, Courtney Thompson, President and CEO of the Greater Augusta Regional Chamber of Commerce. We serve Augusta County, Stanton, and Waynesboro, so quite a large area. A lot of fun. I actually graduated from JMU in 2003, go Dukes. I had a bachelor's degree in political science, a minor in business management, and had considered going to law school, but I had been working in banking for a couple years part-time during college, and they offered me a full-time position when I graduated from college. And a lot of my classmates were having trouble finding jobs in the area or out of the area, and I just felt like that was the right thing to do. So I went full-time at the bank and was there for 20 years. Loved it. I had several different roles. My last several years in banking were in business development. So it was a natural fit for coming over to the chamber. I actually got involved here in 2010 as an ambassador and just loved what the chamber did, loved the people, loved the business community. And it just fit with what I was doing at the bank with business development. I was on the board of the chamber, so got to know it from that angle as well. And then this role became available in late 2019, and it just felt like perfect timing, a perfect fit. So I always joke that I've been involved with the chamber since 2010 and paid since 2020. So that's a little bit of how I got here.
That's fantastic. And Courtney, as you share that, one of the things that I enjoyed the most is how you saw it from the business side and the value you got to see behind the scenes. So that only adds to the level of service you provide in your role today, because you understand here's what we need as a business. And
Right.
so often I've heard folks talk about businesses as these lifeless entities, but the reality is there's no such thing as a business that's lifeless. It's made up of people, and without taking
Right.
care of our people, well, we probably don't have a business either.
Exactly.
So now, in each of the roles in business development, with what you do in the chamber, you've taken on a lot of leadership responsibility, and you've had teams and so on. I'm not talking about management. I'm not talking about supervision. I'm talking about leadership, and that's a whole different ball of wax.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit and tie this back to the idea that we've worked through over the last year or so around my book, Leading with Clear Purpose. What was that purpose that got you out of bed? Because it's not always about the money. There's easier ways to make money than just taking responsibility for leading, because sometimes it's stinking hard. What is it for
Yes.
you?
And if it's not hard, you're probably not doing it right. So
Amen to
there's
that.
that. I think for me, honestly, I feel like leadership has always been in my blood. I was raised by leaders. My dad was always in the community in some form or fashion, whether it was at his actual career, his job, or within the community as a firefighter, rescue squad. He currently is with the Augusta County Sheriff's Office as a volunteer deputy. So he's always had leadership roles. My mom was a teacher, so she was definitely a leader. She did a lot of cool things in her field. So I just think I always saw that and was encouraged to be a leader just from small things. And again, it doesn't mean you're the boss or you're in charge of something. Leadership is in many things. I started in 4-H, and honestly, I look to 4-H as one of the very pivotal things that I did as a child and was so lucky to be involved in. That taught leadership. I mean, I look back at that and just see the lessons and the things that I learned there, that when you're 10, 11, 12 years old, you're not necessarily seeing it as a leadership opportunity, but it really is. And so I point back to that and have just always been encouraged to be in roles of leadership. Again, not necessarily as the boss, but in just different community ways and groups and church activities and school activities. And it's just always, I felt like, come very naturally to me to be looking for leadership opportunities.
I love that you just shared the 4-H connection. I've had over the last several months an opportunity to work with Rockingham Cooperative on some of their show team stuff where they help kids have accounts where they buy their feeds and things like that. So we've done some work where I've went with them to 4-H and FFA groups with their show team and talked communication and leadership. And the reality is, you and I've talked about this before, leadership, like John Maxwell says, is influence. It's nothing more, nothing less. And we can be a supervisor or manager, but if we don't have influence, we're certainly not going to lead. We can earn that influence. And there's the kids in 4-H and FFA and things like that, they're taught that influence. It's so powerful to see. And we've absolutely loved the young folks we've worked with through that. I thank you for sharing that.
And they're learning it in practice and not just a lesson in the classroom. It's one thing to hear about it and to hear about leadership. And maybe you're a quiet kid who doesn't see yourself as a CEO someday of a big company. Well, that's not necessarily what leadership is. So they're just learning it in so many ways. I mean, even within schools, the clubs, one of my nieces is involved with her FCCLA chapter at Stewart Straff Middle School, and she's learning amazing leadership skills, and they're having fun and they're being encouraged by adults who are pouring into them, and they don't see it as school or something that they're not enjoying. I mean, it really is just so many different ways to get involved, especially as kids. So I love that you all have had that opportunity too to pour into them.
Yeah, I think about my experience. I didn't do bad in school, but I got really bored and it got me into some trouble because I was bored and I was looking for other things to occupy my time and so on. And if I had that connection of here's how it applies in real life, I think I would have grabbed onto it a little bit more. So we've been happy. I'm pretty simple. I'm not very smart. So the more it can apply, the more I'm going to grab onto.
I don't know if you can say that as a published best-selling author. I'm pretty sure you can't say that anymore.
I can say it, and as people read my books, they're like, "You're right. You're not very smart." But systems are my friend, Courtney. If systems help me get more results than people that don't have systems, so that's smart has zero to do with it. Tying back, that was funny right there. Tying back to the roles that you've had, and more specifically in the role that you're in now, with the purpose that's driven you to take on those different leadership responsibilities. Talk about who you focus on in those roles and what you're really doing to make sure that you're serving the individuals, the organizations, or whomever it is.
So here's a secret that, I'm going to tell you. I have the best job in the whole world. And I really hope that I get to do this until I retire. So don't anybody be beating down the door to have the best job. But in all seriousness, we at the Chamber, every day is different. Every day is usually fun. Not everything, but most days are a lot of fun. We just love working with our business community, our members. I love to go out and talk to our members, especially folks like you who own their own business. They're entrepreneurs. I am fascinated by their stories, why they saw a need and why they decided to fill it. Because it's too easy to sit back and say, well, somebody should fill in the blank. But no, they saw a need and they're filling it and they're building these cool businesses. And I think people don't realize how many just incredible businesses are right here in our area. And I love to hear those stories and tell those stories. There's millions of examples, but one of them, did you know the company that makes all of the hardwood floor for all the Starbucks is in Waynesboro? Like, how cool is that? That's a pretty amazing company that's right here in our area and people don't even know it. So it's things like that just really get me pumped up every day, meeting with members, talking to them, other business leaders. And we get to work with a lot of community and nonprofit leaders that are doing amazing things and serving their community. So I think that's the biggest part for me. And I really did learn this when I was in business development at the bank, is listening. Going in, listening to the stories, asking good questions about what's keeping you up at night. What are your challenges? What are you most proud of? And people just come alive when they get to tell their story. And most people didn't go into business because it looked like it was easy. Owning your own business is no joke. Like, it is a hard thing. So getting to hear people's stories, and then sometimes it's just encouraging them. Sometimes all they need is somebody to say, me too, or here's a resource, or you're doing a really good job and nobody's told you that this week. So I think those are the things that we're able to help the people that we're serving, meeting with people who have the same goals as us. We're so fortunate in our area to have our economic development departments, our tourism departments. All of them are so focused on making this area growing and thriving. Like, we all want to have a community that we're proud of and that people want to be part of. And I think that's what makes this area really special, is that collaboration. And right here at the chamber, we get to be right in the middle of that. We joke about being the connector, the convener, and it's true. Like, we love making those connections, and it really is the way that we most enjoy serving our community and our members.
That ties into, really sets me up for the next question I'm going to ask, but I'm going to give you a little bit of framework for it. So 2 of your members, the Waynesboro Landscape and Garden Center and Augusta Health, were involved in different ways in my most recent book, The Values Advance. Waynesboro Landscape and Garden Center, Craig and Kim Johnson, when they bought the business, now their son Nathan, his wife Kate, and their daughter Abby are actively involved in the business. When we met them over 5 years ago, Craig and Kim talked about their 5 core values. And here's how we're going to make every decision if we move forward with the acquisition. And they did. And I helped them with their handbook, and we did all these different things. And Courtney, I've been at this for a while, right? I've been in the workplace for, going on 40 years. And I've heard about values. I've seen companies list values. I've never seen an example, not saying anybody else is bad. I've never seen an example where they've actively modeled values quite like that. They've made decisions on that and so on. And it really it gave me the inspiration for, here's why I need to write this book called The Values Advantage. Now, Crystal Farmer, COO with Augusta Health, she contributed to the final chapter called Real World Examples. And I'm teeing that up because we're going to talk about values moving forward here for the rest of our conversation. And it's so important. You said 2 things, that connection. Cindy and I work to do that. That's why we enjoy our friendship and our business relationship with you and the team at the chamber so much, because 2 of our values, one is community, because I've realized I'm not very good by myself, but with good people around me, I can be better. And the other is together, because together we're all better, right?
Right.
So we've worked really hard to instill that, but only after I realized, oh my goodness, we had things that meant something to us. We had not defined that as our values. Now, with all that in mind, what's one of your core values, and how do you make sure that you model it daily for everybody that you interact with, your team that looks to you for leadership, the clients, the community, whoever it is?
Yeah. So I'm really lucky because what we do here falls right in line with my core values. And not everybody's that lucky. Some people are just going to a job and that's all it is a, good old job. And they don't necessarily take into account their core values in that job. Now, hopefully nobody's doing anything that's going against their core values, but I just feel really fortunate that when I come to work every day, and honestly, this is a 24/7, 365 job. Like, we are wearing our chamber hat all the time, no matter what. It's not just Monday to Friday, because we love it and because we're passionate about it. It's not a duty. It's something we really do appreciate getting to do. So I really do feel lucky that my core values work with this position so well. And definitely creating community. I talked about it before with 4-H. That was a community. I'm still friends with people that I was friends with when I was 10 years old. Classmates from high school, college, I'm still friends with them. People I've met in different classes and workshops and cohorts. Community is so important. And I think, what's the saying? If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go with others. And it's so true. Even people that are more introverted, or they're a solo proprietor and they're doing things on their own, they still need people. That's why we have the innovation hubs. Stanton, Waynesboro, and Harrisonburg. That's exactly why those were created, was because they saw a need for people to have community. So I think that creating community is so important. And it's one of our core values of the chamber. It's what we are doing, is creating community and making sure that we are the first stop. We're not always the one that has the answer, but we want to help you find the resources and find the answers. And we want people to think of us when they have a question, or again, they just need some encouragement. They're not sure where to turn next. We want to create that community and make people feel welcome. And I think at the end of the day, that's what's most important to us. Myself, the other staff at the chamber, our board of directors, we talk about that with them. So really, truly, that creating community is what's most important to all of us, I think.
I love how you wove the two together. A friend of mine, I've told this story a number of times over the last few months. A friend of mine, several months back now, says, "Wow, you and Cindy seem to have really good relationships with everybody you work with." And I've not seen everybody do that. He said, him personally, he had always tried to keep personal and business relationships separate. And I said, so here's the reality. If our values are aligned, I want to have really good friendships with the people I'm working with. If our values are not aligned, I don't really want to work with them either. And
Well, and we live in a small town. You and Cindy do a lot of work nationwide, so it's not always the case with your clients necessarily. But in general, this is a pretty small town. Augusta County, Stanton, Waynesboro, we have a lot of people and more coming every day, which we love. But at the end of the day, you're still going to see people at the grocery store. You're still going to see people at the park or at your kids' ball game. So it is, you can't really separate personal and professional in a town like this where relationship is so very important. We have always known that, but I think during the pandemic, we really, really saw it at a high level that our people want to have that one-on-one. They want to have that relationship. They want to know who they're working with. They want to look you in the eye and shake your hand. I think we really saw that at a very visceral level during that time when things were so strange and we weren't all able to be together as much. So yeah, like you said, you have to have those things that align to make everyone successful. So it's just so important.
yeah. And hey, Cindy and I work together all day, every day. We're not in the same office all day, every day, but we're doing work together. There is no separation. There's no separation of church and
Right.
state in what we do. And that's not a thing anyway, if you go back and read the documents, but that's a different story for a different time. But
We pray a
so
lot for Cindy.
oh yeah, I ask people all the time. When we were in Galveston a few weeks ago, I said, "Hey guys, she's got to deal with me all the time. Pray for Cindy. Pray for Cindy." So that's a common theme, Courtney. Thanks for throwing that in there. But hey, I was at my desk until 8 p.m. last night. That's not a sob story. It's a praise God story because we enjoy doing what we do so much that it's hard. If it were about the money, we wouldn't do what we do, and you wouldn't either. But
Right.
because we get to serve people that we care about and we can make an impact on their teams, whatever needs to be done is going to get done.
And I
Now,
do wish that's something that people understood. If people ask me, what do I wish people knew about the chamber and what we do? Kim and Shasta and I just really, truly love what we do. We love getting to come here. We love serving our members and our business community. And that's one thing that I hope that people see from us, that we truly are passionate about this community, about the members that we have, about the business community. And it's not about the numbers and the number of members that we have. I mean, obviously we're a membership organization. That's how we are run, how we are funded. But at the end of the day, like, we're so passionate about what we do. That's why we come here. Like, I've often thought, if I won the lottery, I would still come to work and just donate my paycheck, because it is that important. And it's that much fun what we get to do. I think that's one thing that when people like you guys and like Waynesboro Landscape, anybody, that's passionate about what they do, you can really tell. You really can.
and that really tees up the next question, Courtney, because I know what you guys do and I see some of the impact. Give me an example of a project or a campaign or something that you guys have done that you've been able to be a part of and you've seen the direct impact that you've had on the people participating in the community as a whole.
There's a lot of examples, but honestly, one that I am personally most proud of, and that's always top of mind for me because it's one of my biggest programs that I work on, is our Leadership Greater Augusta program. And we're getting ready to graduate our class of 2026. So it's especially top of mind because we're getting ready for that. But it is actually the longest running program of the chamber. So we've had it since 1984, have graduated at this point, I want to say 1,100-ish leaders. It's been around every year in some form or fashion. We've had a couple different iterations, obviously, but that has been one of the things that I have loved most, getting to manage in this role. So I'm an LGA graduate in 2014, and now I get to go through it every year again. And it's just really fun. It's our 9-month professional and leadership development program. And again, it's focused on not just your work life, but your life. We're really trying to help our participants see how they can be leaders at any level. So we say it's for existing or emerging leaders. You're a leader in your community. You're a leader in your church. You're a leader in your kids' sports teams. You're a leader in so many different ways, helping them get to see what's out in our community. We do field trips. So different nonprofits, different speakers that we have come in. We have our economic developers come in. We have our local government come in. We have nonprofit leaders come in. So we're really trying to get people to see what's here. We talk so much about quality of life, but helping them define that. What does that mean? So it's a great program that we're very, very proud of, that really, I think, develops leaders. We're really seeing a lot of leaders that are coming out of that program. They're getting promotions. They're getting new jobs at higher levels. They're being given a lot more responsibility or leadership opportunities. We've had some that have gone on to serve on nonprofit boards, which is amazing. Throughout the program, we've had some that have gone on to be elected officials. Like, it's just really cool to see tangible ways that a program that we're doing for 9 months really is making a difference and an impact in our community. I was just looking back at our list of alumni. We have we think, a fairly accurate list of the alumni back to when it started in 1984. And it's really fun to look back and see, oh my gosh, those people are retired now, but they were top business leaders or people that have been elected officials at the state level. So that's a program that I am particularly proud of, the work that we've done on it. And just get to see every year. I know how teachers feel at the end of the year when they lose their class, because we get to graduation day and it's like 9 months felt like so long. And now here we are already at graduation and getting ready to send on another cohort. But I would say we do a lot of different things that we're very proud of, but that's one that I personally am really proud of.
That's fantastic. I don't remember if it's in one of my books. I know I'm going to share the story with a group that we'll be working with on Saturday. One of the most fulfilling things, I know it is in one of my books. Now I'm saying this out loud, but one of the most fulfilling things I see in my career is exactly what you just talked about, Courtney, is seeing the folks that I was able to be a conduit. They did the work. I was just able to take some stuff that I'd learned to pass it on to them, but see how much of an impact it's had in their careers. And I'm thinking, my goodness, this is cool. This is fun. So that's what I heard the whole time you're saying that. I'm thinking, you're right. That's so fulfilling. Now, I'm going to flip the question, because you've done a lot to sow into other people. You've done a lot to really help people grow in their own careers, and you've been that resource for them. What's it been for you? How have your core values really driven you to continue to, I'm going to use the term, sharpen your own saw, to put the time, the energy, the personal resources into your own leadership growth and development?
Well, I'll admit I'm a nerd. I love to learn. I'm always looking for ways to grow, personally, professionally, whichever. I love personality assessments. I've taken all of them. I can tell you what I am in anything, and they're always spot on, which makes me laugh. But something about that, and I have a theory that there are certain personality types that enjoy things like that, and I'm probably one of those. But just opportunities, conferences, opportunities to network. I think you can never, ever look for enough opportunities to network, both locally, with your industry, nationwide. And we're really lucky. The chamber community nationwide is incredibly generous and giving with each other. We have a great community within our state, of our state chambers, local chambers. So always looking for those kinds of opportunities, that anytime you can learn something, I feel like we should always be learning. You never know everything. So there's always something to learn. When I was in banking, I did the Virginia School for Bank Management at UVA, and that was probably one of the top 10 experiences of my life. And even though I'm no longer in banking, those things that I learned in that 3-year program still are meaningful. And I still talk to some of my bank school classmates, and that's still a great network for me to tap into. That's a big one. I did the Institution for Organization Management, which is a chamber and association specific program. That's in Athens, Georgia. I completed that 2 years ago. Again, amazing opportunity. Learned so much, especially practical application for the chamber world. And again, that network of people, it goes back to the relationship and people that I talk to from all over the country pretty much weekly, just different things that we're brainstorming with each other, or sharing ideas or sharing resources. So those are definitely always top of mind. There's another chamber credential, the Certified Chamber Executive. I'm getting ready to tackle that one. That one's a really great program that I've heard great things about. And those kinds of things not only help me as a chamber leader, it helps our chamber. We get such access to resources and things through these kinds of programs. I'm enrolled in one now for something specific, and it's going to help our chamber. It's going to help our business community. It's not just me personally, it's benefiting. So those are great options as well. And then I mentioned before, I graduated from JMU, go Dukes, and have considered getting my master's. So I can say I'm a double Duke. So that's on the horizon potentially, but just always reading, listening to podcasts. Shout out to your books because I love the practical applications. It's also fun because you're local and I know you, but also some of the stories in there of people like, I know that person, I know that person. So those are really fun, but love leadership books and memoirs and biographies of leaders and just any way we can learn and put things into practical application, I feel like is always beneficial, no matter what industry you're in or where you're trying to go in your career. I just think, that learners, what is it? Leaders read, readers are leaders, whatever it is. I think that's definitely true.
Yeah, you've said several times, so I'm going to go off script just a little bit and make a little bit of a shameless plug. In 2027, I've got a book that's going to be coming out called Leveraging Leadership Growth, Strength Through Great Professional Leaderships. And the premise of that book was me looking back. And I said this earlier, there's not much I know how to do good by myself, but I've had some really amazing people that I've gotten to learn from and that have been a tremendous influence in my life. And that book is looking through case by case by case. Here's the things I learned from different people. Praise God, this person's in my life. I'm thankful for this person in my life, and so on. Now, that really is a segue. Okay. So we've talked about the values advantage. Now, you at the Greater Augusta Regional Chamber of Commerce and you, Courtney, are partners with us on the upcoming 2026 Leadership Legacy Experience that's framed around applying the values advantage framework. And what we've done something neat this year. I don't know that many people know this. I think that I shared this with you over lunch. All of the folks that have written in the values advantage, Craig Johnson is the foreword, Mark Cole is the introduction, Lane Jones is the prologue, and all of the folks that contributed to the real world examples chapter will be involved actively in the event. They're going to be executive panelists. I'm doing interviews. Cindy's doing interviews. Lane's doing a keynote. Mark's doing a keynote, and so on. You've gotten a little bit of a behind the scenes look at the idea of how defining, modeling, and living those core values can impact an organization. Based on what you know, what do you expect organizations and individuals can walk away from that event where they learn the practical framework for applying the values advantage that you're excited about seeing?
Well, first of all, I like how you just casually throw out Mark Cole and Lane Jones like they're not a humongous big deal that they're coming to Harrisonburg. And that you're friends with them and have their cell phone numbers. I think I've told so many people about last year's event and about this one to encourage them to go this year. And I told you guys this in person. The fact that we're having an event of this caliber and the speakers that you've gathered right here, like people need to not sleep on that. This is a big deal. This is a conference you would expect to see in Atlanta or Vegas, like truly amazing speakers. And I just think we need to all be on board with this. I was excited to see so many people there last year. Let's fill the Atlantic Union Bank Center and just make it a big deal, because I think not only the practical applications, but again, that networking, the way you all have set it up and encourage that, the lessons you can learn. These are real world people. It's great to hear from these big, huge motivational speakers, but at the end of the day, what business owners need, they're busy. They don't have time to just go and leave and feel good. That's nice sometimes, but to actually have an event like this where you are hearing from people like literal boots on the ground, this is what I do every day. This is how I've gotten here. This is what I would recommend. Hey, don't do this part. That's invaluable. Like just the lessons you can take away from hearing some of these folks. And I'm talking just even the panelists that you've got lined up, who a lot of them are local people. I'm not even talking about the amazing keynotes. Lane Jones, like what kind of bombs is she going to drop? She's a fantastic speaker. But even just our local people that are on these panels that have written things in your book, I just am really excited. And I think people need to take advantage of something that's literally in our backyard and pour into that and just help it grow. Bring your staff. It's a Friday. Give everybody the day off. I don't know if you realize it's less than 2 months away. Like give everybody the day off and come to this conference together. That's team building. Have people write down their takeaways, and then Monday gather up at work and talk about, what did you learn? What did you learn? What are you going to try? I think there's so many things that people can get from a conference like this that I just really hope people understand what a big deal it is, and that it's not just another boring day at the office. This is truly something that can change your business. It can change you as a business leader. And I'll just say for everybody out there, I am not being paid to say this. I would say this whether I was talking to you or to somebody off the street. So I really do. I think I'm excited, and I think it's going to be just a great opportunity for anybody to come, not just people, not just the business owner. Again, bring your staff, bring your people.
Well, and from the bottom of my heart, I don't think I could have scripted it better than that had I paid you to say it. So thank you. But here's the reality. We were incredibly intentional about asking Mark Cole to be there last year, and even more so this year. And we know him pretty well. And I don't take that for granted at all, even though I didn't make a big to-do about it. Mark has been John Maxwell's CEO for over 15 years. What most people don't know is he owns all of John Maxwell's companies. John's 79 years old. Mark works with presidents and the top world leaders in 35 countries every year. And this is the second year he's been willing to say, yeah, Wes, I'll come back to Harrisonburg. He wrote the introduction to the book. It's the second of my books that he's written something for. And Courtney, I don't know if you even know this, not many people do. We'll formally announce and roll out some of the pieces, but Lane and Cindy and I now have a business relationship together. We're working on a project that we'll be rolling out there that will formally launch in 2027, but the folks in the arena get to see firsthand, here's what the tools are, and even have first dibs at pilot opportunities for it that we've not told anybody outside of me and you talking right now. So
Exciting.
It is, because Lane is world class at what she does, and we're blessed to be able to have that joint venture partnership that we're building with her. And for the last several months, I've been on a call 1 hour a week. We're on Zoom and we're working through, here's the nuts and bolts. We've put countless hours into the project that you'll see on June 12th firsthand, and it won't be ready, but it's going to be close. And by January 2027, it will be so cool. So I'm not going to talk any more about that, but it's some fun stuff that's coming with that and a lot of sweat equity in it. But
I'm sure.
now, one thing, I'm going to ask two more questions. One's scripted, one's going to be a spontaneous answer, and I'm very intentional about doing that. But the last scripted question I'm going to ask you is to share what advice that you're giving on a routine basis to folks that are wanting to grow in their career and take on that leadership responsibility. And I say that intentionally. Again, I'm fine with growing into supervisory management and executive roles, but that doesn't always equate to leadership. You said, hey, I can be in a church and lead, but it's not positional. And that's the importance that I want to differentiate there. And after you've done that, I'll tee up the final question, and then I'll talk about the show notes, so you've got a little bit of time to think through it.
So I would say, and we do get to talk to a lot of, what I call emerging leaders, take advantage of every opportunity, truly, to learn and grow, whether it's your industry, outside of your industry. Look for workshops, look for conferences, like shameless plug, look for your local chamber of commerce. They always have workshops, leadership programs. Every chamber I know of has a great leadership program. It's not just us. So look for things like that. I think you need to really learn to advocate for yourself. Know, where do you want to go? Is this role, back to core values, is it serving me? Is it filling my purpose? Am I able to identify with this company's core values and make it work with mine, so that I really love what I do and get to look for that? Sit down, talk to your manager, your supervisor. I think sometimes, especially younger leaders, if they've just come out of college or they're not sure how to map out their journey, their career. And I think it's a little bit different recently seeing younger professionals that are kind of job hopping, because I think they're not thinking about what they want, and they're maybe afraid to have that conversation with their supervisor. Don't be afraid to do that. Sit down with your supervisor and say, here's where I want to go. What are my opportunities at this job? What opportunities can I take for, again, workshops, leadership programs, conferences? Talk to them. Find a mentor. There are plenty of business leaders out there that would love to be a mentor to a younger professional. Yes, they're busy. Yes, you may be hesitant to ask them because they are so busy, but I promise they're probably not going to say no. I think looking for those, asking for those opportunities, and don't be afraid. Again, sit down with your supervisor, your manager, a business coach, a life coach, whatever, works for you, to just say, here's what I want. here's what I'm willing to do. You have to be willing to put in the sweat equity. You can't just have things handed to you if you're truly going to be able to grow and have leadership in any area. You have to be willing to do the work and put it in. But letting those people know, this is what I want. How can we work together to get there? So that's definitely advice that we give our young professionals and anyone looking for leadership. I don't think you have to be young. It could be somebody who's changing careers midstream. There's a lot of people going into brand new careers in their 40s and 50s. They're going to Blue Ridge Community College and getting new certificates or degrees and things, and that's awesome too. It's never too late. It's never too late to increase your education. Again, I'm in my 40s and looking at doing a master's in a couple of years. It's not too late. So I would say look for the opportunities, be open, ask questions, talk to people. Don't be afraid to have those conversations, and just making sure that you're making those relationships and developing those, and then looking for opportunities to give back. At some point, you're going to be the leader people are looking up to, and be willing to give back and share your story and your advice for them. And there's just, especially in this area, again, it all goes back to relationship. At the end of the day, it all goes back to relationship and community. And that's what we are. And there are just people lined up wanting to help develop the next generation of leaders.
Yeah, I love that. I saw 3 faces as you shared Ask the People. And one of them will be on stage in the second panel, and he's been involved in every one of the books. He has been instrumental in the process of learning how to write, what the publishing process is like, what the printing process involves, and all the different things that I never thought I would need to know, Courtney. But he's been amazing. Now, and he's never told me, no, I don't have time for you. He has said, hey, I can't do it right now. That's normal. But he's never told me no in the 6 years that I've known him now. It's a guy that I never, if I would have waited and thought, I'm just not sure what he's going to say, he would have sought me out. Busy leaders won't seek you out, but
Right.
the good ones won't say no either. They'll invest.
Right.
I love how you put that, Courtney. That was so powerful. And I could go on for days. I won't, but maybe that's a you and I conversation some too. Now, the last question is, what have I not asked you about that you really want to make sure that we talk about in this? Now, while you think about that, I'm going to list some of the things that I've got in the show notes. I've added links because if you're accessing this, I want you to know how to get in touch with the Greater Augusta Regional Chamber of Commerce, how to get to know what they do, see what the resources, their assets are, and just as importantly, get to connect with Courtney because they are a great team, but we're talking with Courtney here. So make sure that you look at all those different links, their website, their Facebook page, their LinkedIn page, Courtney's LinkedIn page, and so on. All of those are in the show notes wherever you're accessing this. So, Courtney, what have I not asked you that you want to make sure we cover?
Nothing. I think we covered a lot. I would say just, again, please reach out and look at our events calendar. We have a ton of events coming up. We have opportunities for both members and non-members. Would love to chat with you if you aren't sure. We've talked to a couple younger business owners lately. They were like, I didn't even know what the Chamber of Commerce did. Believe me, we would love to tell you all about it and help you make those connections and get you connected with the resources. So please reach out. We have, if you're watching this before May 6th, we have our Business Appreciation Breakfast coming up. It's a free event. Love to have anybody come out and with that. We have great keynote speakers for that. They're going to be talking about the overview of the economic success of the region. They're coming from the Weldon Cooper Center, so that's going to be really interesting. But there's always plenty of opportunities. We have great networking. Would love to help you make connections in the area. So anybody, please reach out. Would love to chat. All of our emails are on our website, so we're very easy to find. But please reach out.
Yep. And you're very responsive too. I'll add that plug as well. One of the last things I'm going to ask that's not scripted, but you mentioned events. So if they are members, and today, as we're doing this, if you're catching it live in the community, catching this video, I think today is the last day for registration, but you're doing a women's event. I think it's a week from today. You want to reference that at all?
Sure. We do 4 women in business events per year. We had a kickoff summit in January, which was fantastic, a lot of fun. We have our spring luncheon next week, and today is the last day to register, but there's still time if you're watching this live. And then in the summer, I think it's August, we're doing our ladies' night out, which we feel like ladies are so busy. We have so much going on. It's an opportunity to just pause, take a break. It's not a serious agenda. It's fun. We have something we've done, bouquet building and vase painting and all vase, not face. We do all kinds of fun stuff just so the ladies can come together and enjoy an evening to relax and network and chit chat and do the things we do best. And then we'll have our final women in business event in the fall, which will also be a luncheon. So if you miss out for next week, don't worry, there's more coming up. Those are a lot of fun. And then I will mention just real quickly, something fun we've been doing the last couple of years is our chamber travel program. And again, information on our website. We do trips. We've done Ireland. We got just back from Ireland a few weeks ago with a group of 30. It was amazing. We had the best time. We're going to Spain in October, and we still have a few spots for that. And then we just announced our 2027 trips. We're going to Scotland in March. And if I have any golfers out there, we are planning an excursion, a golf excursion to St. Andrews for our golfers that want to golf in the home, literal home of golf. And then next October, we're doing Portugal. So anybody can go. You don't have to be a chamber member. You don't even have to live in this area. There's all kinds of options for that. So again, lots of information on our website, and we'll be happy to chat with anybody, but that's just been a lot of fun and something that's been really popular. So wanted to throw that in there.
Outstanding. Thank you for that. And that was one of the things that I'm considered asking you about when you were talking about Leadership Greater Augusta, because I know what you do with the trips as well and the impact that you have on the folks that go. So very nicely done, Courtney. Now, as we bring this to a close, I'll mention that if you're catching this and you've got a need wherever you're accessing it, if you've got a need for continuing education credit, Dove Development and Consulting has been an approved recertification provider with the Society for Human Resource Management and the Human Resource Certification Institute for a whole bunch of years. We've got a big program called Leading at the Next Level, the same thing tied to this podcast, that I think has about 200 hours worth of content in it at this point. And all of those lessons, there's a tier called the Next Level Leadership Access that has access to behavior-based assessments and that continuing education credit. If you've got a need, I'll send you a code for a 7-day free trial and a discount off your first year, a monthly discount for the first year. Send me an email at admin@dove-development.net, and I'll be happy to hook you up and hope it serves you. Courtney, thanks so much for taking the time to do this. This was fantastic.
It was. Thank you so much.
Look forward to seeing you guys soon, and hopefully it's at the 2026 Leadership Legacy Experience. Make it a
I'll
great
be there.
day.